It was supposed to be an ordinary evening, but it turned into the night I would never forget. My husband, Daniel, had worked for years at a large corporate firm. He wasn't a flashy man, nor someone who played dirty politics. He believed in hard work, honesty, and letting his results speak for themselves. The company had organized a grand annual gala. Employees, board members, and executives all gathered at a luxurious hotel ballroom. The highlight of the evening was always the CEO's speech, a man named Richard who was known as brilliant but arrogant. Richard had a reputation for humiliating employees publicly, using sarcasm as his weapon. He thought it made him look powerful. Daniel and I sat near the front. He had just been promoted to senior project manager, and many colleagues congratulated him. But I could see a flicker of envy in Richard's eyes when he glanced at my husband. For reasons I didn't yet understand, the CEO seemed threatened by him. The evening went smoothly until Richard stepped onto the stage. His tall frame, polished suit, and confident stride commanded attention. He scanned the room with a smirk, clearly enjoying the authority he held. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "tonight we celebrate achievements. But let's also remember that success comes to those who deserve it, and not everyone in this room truly does." The audience chuckled awkwardly. Then Richard's eyes locked on Daniel. My heart skipped a beat. "Take Daniel, for example," Richard said loudly. "Promoted to senior project manager this year. Quite an achievement. But tell me, Daniel, do you honestly think you're qualified for that role? Or were you just lucky?" The room fell silent. All eyes turned toward my husband. My hands tightened around my glass, rage building inside me. How dare he? Daniel stood slowly, calm and composed. He straightened his jacket and met Richard's gaze. There was no fear in his eyes, only a quiet strength that made the room even quieter. "Luck," Daniel repeated. His voice was steady, almost cold. "Mr. CEO, let me ask you something. When the company lost its biggest client last year, who stayed overnight for weeks, rebuilding strategies until we won them back?" Richard's smile faded slightly. "Who led the project that doubled our revenue this quarter, while others doubted it would even succeed?" Daniel continued. "And when our competitors tried to poach half our team, who motivated them to stay loyal to this company?" Whispers spread across the room. People remembered those events. They remembered who stood by them in the toughest times. Daniel's voice grew sharper, though he never raised it. "You see, luck may open a door, but it never keeps it open. Only hard work, consistency, and integrity do that. If my promotion was based on luck, then I suppose this entire company is running on chance and not leadership." The words struck like a blade. The audience's eyes shifted to Richard. For once, the CEO had no comeback. His arrogance melted into visible discomfort. Daniel sat down calmly, as though nothing happened. But the silence in the room was heavy, broken only by scattered applause that quickly grew louder until it filled the hall. People clapped, not just for my husband's words, but for the truth behind them. Richard forced a smile, muttered something about moving on, and quickly wrapped up his speech. But the damage was done. That night, people saw through his arrogance. They saw the difference between empty power and true respect. When we left the gala, several colleagues approached Daniel, shaking his hand, thanking him for standing up. "You spoke for all of us," one whispered. "We've been waiting for someone brave enough to say it." Later, in the car, I looked at my husband with pride. "You destroyed him, without shouting, without insults, just the truth." Daniel smiled faintly. "Respect doesn't come from a title. It comes from what you do when people are watching and when they're not. If a CEO forgets that, he's just a man in a suit." The following weeks were telling. Rumors swirled about board members questioning Richard's leadership. His once unshakable grip began to loosen. Meanwhile, Daniel's reputation soared. He wasn't just a senior project manager anymore. He became a symbol of courage, the kind of leader people actually wanted to follow. Months later, when the board eventually replaced Richard, many said that night at the gala had been the turning point. And they were right. That evening taught me something profound. Sometimes the strongest reply isn't anger or revenge. It's the calm truth, spoken with confidence, that silences arrogance. My husband had faced humiliation, but he left the room not just with dignity, but with victory. And that, I realized, is the true definition of power.